Hi guys, thank you for visiting me again today in my Kudos Kitchen, where today I'm going to be making a recipe that's been on my blog since I think 2015. It is a recipe that I love, and it is for cornbread with sage and pumpkin. So yeah, for you cornbread enthusiasts that are purists, this veers off a little bit from that. And no, I'm not Southern. I live in the Midwest, but this is the cornbread that I love, and I do like it a little sweet, so I'm going to be adding some brown sugar. But first, let me just go through the ingredients that I will be using. So first off, cornmeal, stone ground cornmeal. I have some all-purpose flour, some 100% pumpkin puree, baking powder, baking soda. I have a little bit of cider vinegar, salt, pepper, some milk, of course butter. To add the sweetness is the brown sugar, an egg, and of course sage. So let's begin. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some butter to this 10-inch cast iron skillet, and I'm going to put it in the oven and preheat the pan. The oven's already on, it's on at 350. I'm gonna preheat the pan and melt the butter, so when I add the cornbread mixture, it's gonna start cooking right away and get a nice golden crust. So yeah, if you go to my website to print this recipe, you will notice I did not use this type of pan on that particular post. As far as butter goes, I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons into the skillet and pop it into the oven to preheat. There we go, off to the oven. And now the next thing I'm going to do is add my dry ingredients in one bowl and my wet ingredients in another bowl. So first off, flour, 1 1/4 cups flour. And yes, you did just see me eyeball that. And 3/4 cups of cornmeal. And I am using a medium grind and a yellow cornmeal. I like my cornbread to be yellow and to have some good texture to it. So this is 3/4 cup of cornmeal. If you go a little over, no big deal. Okay. There's the cornmeal. I need salt. Teaspoon-ish of salt. Some black pepper. I like to add black pepper to my cornbread. A teaspoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of baking soda. Baking powder and baking soda. And now here's where I also add the brown sugar. This is 1/4 cup of packed brown sugar. I really did pack it in there. Come on. Oh my. There we go. Give it all a good whisk to combine. Really break up that brown sugar if you packed it as good as I did. Okay, set aside the dry ingredients and we'll get ready with the wet. So because I did pack my brown sugar so tight into the cup, I'm going in with my hands and feeling for all those brown sugar clumps and kind of breaking them apart with my fingers, just so the cornbread doesn't have any pockets of brown sugar. Want it to all be one nice mixture with no big surprises. Okay, that looks pretty good. And now for the wet, we have 1 cup of milk and 1 egg. I'll quick beat these together. And I'm going to use just a tiny bit of apple cider vinegar, which will give the cornbread a nice little tang. So about a teaspoon. There we go. It's kind of like a buttermilk replacement, because buttermilk will give cornbread a tang as well. So give that all a good whisk. And then the recipe calls for 2/3, I take that back, 2/3 of a cup of pumpkin puree, and that I'm going to eyeball. So not quite the whole can. This is a 15-ounce can? Yep. So almost all of it. And give that a good whisk, or stir I should say. Give that all a good stir. So we have the milk, the egg, the pumpkin puree, apple cider vinegar, and then I'm going to add some chopped sage to this mixture as well. Now if you didn't have fresh sage, that would be no problem. You could easily use rubbed dried sage, but just cut back on the amount, because a dried herb is a lot more potent in flavor than a fresh herb. So this is going to be about 1 tablespoon of fresh chopped sage. Again, if you're using dry, I'd probably go with a half a tablespoon, or a couple teaspoons, depending on how much you like your sage flavor, which I do, especially for Thanksgiving. Okay, and I'm just gonna stir this in to the pumpkin and milk mixture. Until it's nice and thoroughly combined. I think I'm even gonna add some more sage, guys, because that's just how I like things. It's totally up to you if you wanna do that or not. And now, I did add additional chopped sage to my pumpkin milk mixture, and I'm going to add the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients and give it all a nice stir, just to get it combined, not to overmix. Until it's just combined. Okay, we're almost there. That was fast. Again, we don't want to thoroughly mix it too much. And it's okay if you do see some of the dry pockets of, just so long as there's not huge dry pockets. Stir from the bottom as well. Okay, and I think we're ready to now add this to the skillet that was in the oven with the melted butter. So here's the skillet with the melted butter, the hot skillet. You guys, if you're gonna be cooking with cast iron, never forget to use an oven mitt or put something over the handle of the skillet to remind you how screaming hot that is. But anyways, here's the melted butter. I'm gonna go ahead and pour the cornbread batter into the skillet. Making sure to get every last bit, okay? Now I smooth out the top of the cornbread so it's nice and even, or as even as possible. And then we're gonna put this back in the oven and bake it at 350 for about 50 to 55 minutes until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. You know the drill. Okay, so here's our completed cornbread, pumpkin sage cornbread, hot out of the oven. And it does look rustic, and I'm totally fine with that. Hopefully you are too. It's got a nice color, but that's a lot that is due mostly because of the pumpkin. And of course the yellow cornmeal. So now what I'm going to do is brush melted butter all over the top of the cornbread while it's still hot. And that'll seep in and add 1 extra layer of flavor. Oh, that looks so good, you guys. I hope you think so too. So if you like this recipe and you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'd love to hear some comments, maybe like where you're from, what your favorite cornbread add-in is, things like that. So please give me a thumbs up, because it does help with the algorithms of YouTube. And subscribe if you don't already. This is a lot of butter, you guys, but who doesn't like tons of butter with their cornbread? Thanks for watching, you guys. Until we eat again, I hope you have a delicious day. Come back again. Get the full printable recipe at Kudos Kitchen by Renee.com.